Hi, welcome to the Luscious Vegan. I'm your hostess, Karen. Today we're going to create one of my favorite recipes, tortilla soup. This is a huge crowd pleaser and I'm often asked to make it when I go to parties or have events. So let's take a look at the ingredients. What I have here is 8 cups of vegetable broth that I prepared myself. If you want directions on preparing the vegetable broth, go see my other webisode called Veggie Broth. And I've got half of an onion sauteed with garlic and 2 carrots peeled. Again, if you need to see how to do this, you can go back to my other episode. We've got 2 zucchini cut into thick slices, and 2 bell peppers. I'm using 1 yellow and 1 red. This is a beautiful, colorful soup, and anything to add a little bit more color, I think, really makes the soup more enjoyable. 2 ears of corn removed from the cob, about 1 cup of black beans. You can also use white beans or kidney beans. They also taste great. And about 14 corn tortillas, or if you like, you can use tortilla chips. We're using blue corn today, but you can use any kind you like. So the first thing we're going to do is start sauteing our vegetables. So we're going to add about 1 tablespoon or 2 of olive oil to our pan, just enough to coat the pan. And we're going to toss in our bell peppers, and our zucchinis. Put in our garlic, and we're going to saute this for about 5 minutes. Just until the vegetables begin to soften and pick up some of the roasted garlic flavor. Okay, now these vegetables have been cooking for about 5 minutes on low to medium heat. And we're just about ready to add the onions that we sauteed earlier and our carrots here. And like I said, if you need directions on how to saute the onions, go see my other episode called Veggie Broth. We're going to add our black beans and corn. And finally, our cumin. Just about 1/4 teaspoon, but I really love cumin, so I might add a little bit more. Okay. I'm going to toss this around. Right now we just have a big, beautiful pot of delicious Latin vegetables. My favorite. It really gives me a lot of pleasure to take my family recipes and make them vegan so I can share them with you. Okay. That smells amazing. So, now I'm going to pour my homemade veggie broth right in here. Yum. We're going to let that simmer for about 20 minutes. And in the meantime, I'm going to get the tortillas ready. Now, if you're using corn chips, you can skip this step. But if you're using old stale tortillas from home, or even if they're not so stale, you're going to do this next step. Okay, so let's get started. The next step is to make tortilla chips. Now if you're using store-bought tortilla chips, then you can skip this step. Otherwise, you'll need a little bit of olive oil, or whatever oil it is you have handy. We're going to take our tortillas, and you can either tear them up or slice them into little triangles. like to slice them. And we're basically just going to make tortilla chips. Now, originally, this recipe was created to use stale tortillas. So if you have some really old hard corn tortillas, then you don't even have to do this. But these are fresh. So we're just going to crisp them up a little bit. I use about 2 cups of tortillas. I think I've got about 14 corn tortillas here. Now the blue corn is fun and nice, but sometimes it can kind of tend to tinge your soup a kind of a gray color once the tortillas break down. So that might be a reason you might like to use regular corn tortillas. But we're just going to let these sit for about 10 minutes on medium heat, and we're going to flip them over. After that, we can drain them with some paper towels, set them aside, and we'll be ready to top our soup in just a few minutes. I'm just tossing these to coat them in the oil. For anybody who's trying to cut down on the amount of fat they're consuming, you can always toast these up in the oven as well. I, however, am not watching my fat intake. These are going to be great. And the cool thing about tortilla soup is that you don't need to add any thickener to thicken the broth. The corn itself is going to break down, corn tortillas, and it's going to thicken the broth for you. So you don't even have to worry about adding anything else. Okay, and it's been about 30 minutes, and our vegetables are all soft, not too soft, and we're ready to add our corn chips. Now, these corn chips, they're not super hard. They're not like store-bought corn chips. If you're using the store-bought corn chips, you're going to want to put them in about 10 minutes before you serve. But these guys are just crisp enough. I'm going to turn off the stove. Bring this over here. And we're ready to add our corn chips to the mixture. Now I'm just going to stir this around and let it sit for about 5 minutes, and then we'll be ready to serve. This is delicious. I like to serve this soup with a number of things on the side. You could do sliced avocado, cut up cabbage, lime, chili, just about anything. Looks good.